Hello guys and welcome to GA Flying. Today we have a special episode because I'm starting another world tour and wanted to share with you all of the information around the tour, some experiences from my prior tours, all of the considerations that I have done, all of the choices that I had to make. Some of it was decided by you because some time ago I've started a survey on the channel asking if you would prefer the Chaos DA42 or the Baron, and the Baron has won by a lot. So this is one of the reasons that I will be doing it with a Baron. In this case, it's the turbo version, but not the pressurized version. And about the specific version choice, I will talk about in a later part of the video. But I had like many decisions to make, among others about delivery. It doesn't seem like something that is normally important, but when you are supposed to like spend 100 hours, 200 hours on flying one plane, you want it to look cool, right? As good as possible. And this is also why it took me some time. I also checked out like custom liveries from Flight Sim TO. But in the end, I decided to take the normal red one, but I was not happy with the leather interior that comes with it. So I've kind of mixed up the interior from a different livery. Okay, let me just show you how it looks like from the inside. So despite having the red one, I am using the bluish one that I find like really cozy. And how to do it, I have explained it in like my prior video. That should be linked now at the top of the screen. Okay. So let's talk about the place where we are at. As you can see, I'm warming up the engine, and this is because we are in Kiruna, which is the northernmost Swedish city, and we have minus 23 degrees Celsius, right? So it's very cold. I'm using both this card for the battery and this one to warm up the engines, and I'm warming up the engines for like 10-15 minutes already. I actually had to Google if I should keep the covers, but like articles that I have found are saying that you should keep them, but this might also depend on the type of the engine, I guess. In this case, let's just keep them. Today we'll be doing a flight that is kind of challenging, and it wasn't really my decision. So why was it decided to start in Kiruna? It all comes back to the purchase of the plane, because this world tour, like all of my past ones, are being done with the help of FS economy. Okay? And how the plane was purchased on FS economy, what it kind of entails, what the results of it are, I have recorded like before. I was doing all of it yesterday, and I will show it to you now. And welcome to FS Economy, guys. So this is an economy plugin, a free one, probably the oldest one that is still running. And this is something that I'm using for all of my world tours, well, for many years. So why am I using it? Because it gives additional immersion, because it gives additional continuity, and also when I'm doing the world tour, I can do some additional jobs along the way. Okay, so just to show you an example, this is the plane that I have used before to do my world tour. Let me just click on it, and here we can see the whole story, right? So this is the route that I have taken. Just ignore this horizontal line, because it always happens if you kind of switch to the other side of the globe, I guess. And so pretty much what I have done was I bought the plane in South America, then went down to like the South Pole, well, not directly to the South Pole, but I landed there. Then I went back to America over Alaska, here over Japan, South Asia, right? India, Middle East, and I've pretty much stopped it in Turkey. Oh, I guess in Greece for now. And every plane on this platform on FS Economy has this history. So when you are buying a plane, it has already some history saved, and then later, if you will sell it after doing the world tour, somebody will have this whole history of this plane like saved. Okay, so here we can, for example, see if we take the other people, can I? No. So for example, we can see what this person has done with the plane before. Right? And when we will be buying our plane now, we will be also taking a look at this like history, because I think it's super fun. Okay. So when it comes to the 310, I was also considering it when planning this world tour. It is working. I've kind of launched it in MSFS 2024, and it pretty much has the same bugs that it always had. And sadly, despite like a lot of benefits, let me just show you. I just love this wing view. I was looking at it like for 200 hours, I guess. So you just need to love how the plane looks if you want to do a world tour. Let me just show you the next one. So I also like this like unique profile from the side. So despite the great looks and despite the very advanced ownership features for like how old it is, it was really dated, like when it comes to the gauges, to the engine simulation, also partially to the graphics. And also I was flying it like for 200 hours. So I wanted to check out something new. So the second plane that I was testing for the world tour was, just give me a second, here. It was the Aerostar. Let me just open it up. So this is the Aerostar that I have bought on FS Economy, and I started my world tour with it. Okay, and let me just show you how it looked like. So this is the whole story of the plane. Somebody has purchased it in South America, brought it to the United States here, and I was the one that bought it here and brought it to Canada. And it was looking very, very promising because of all of those advanced A2A ownership features. Sadly, so first there was a lot of storms here. So when I'm doing those like world tours, I'm not really flying when it's like red outside on the radar, and it would be totally unrealistic to fly. So it was kind of staying on the ground, grounded for like a week, 2 weeks. But then finally the weather was better and I wanted to start it up. It was like a hazy, cold morning, but still like nothing hardcore. And sadly, this is how it ended up. So before I was even able to take off, it was totally iced up. And from the inside, it was even worse. You could not see anything through the window, right? It was totally iced up. I like maxed out the defrosting and heating inside, and still I couldn't see anything. And when I tried to take off, there was just like no lift generated by those iced up wings. So I cannot risk it, right? So a world tour is like, as I said, the last one was 200 hours. I don't want to invest so much just to have a plane that I cannot even like start at a colder morning. So despite the Aerostar being very, very, very promising and a lot of fun to fly, sadly I need something that would be safer. Okay, so this is how we come to our today's plane, the one that I will be buying, the one that has also won in this survey of yours. So we will be buying a Baron, and we'll be flying the Baron from Black Square. Okay, so let's just purchase one. As you can see, we have a lot of money. We have around $700,000, right, saved up on FS Economy. And this is also important because like flying the plane around the world is generating costs because in FS Economy, you need to pay for the fuel, and you also need to pay for maintenance from time to time. Okay, so we need to have some money saved up. Okay, so first let me maybe go to banking. Okay, let's withdraw the money that we will need for the purchase. When it stays on your bank account, it actually generates like some interest, right? So there is also some banking factor involved here. Okay. Okay, let me type in. Okay, and we have 5 of them. So we can see this is the cheapest one, and the expensive one is pretty expensive. So the ones with those like people are ones that you can buy from real players, right? So from other pilots, and those ones would be like bought from the NPC market. So normally, I really prefer to buy from players because then you have this like multiplayer economy, and it's also, I think, like a little bit more immersive. That saying, the difference here is very high for me, 80,000. So let's first take a look at the ones from NPCs. But still, even if they belong like to the computer economy, they are being flown by real pilots, right? And you can see 120 hours of flights were booked on this one. So let's take a look. It's on Gibraltar. Okay. Home, this is it Iran? Algeria? I'm not sure. So it's somewhere in Africa. Okay. Let me just click and let's show what the history of this plane is. Okay. So it started here, I guess. Then it was used a lot in Europe, United Kingdom, Iceland, and then even to Spitsbergen. Well, so it's a pretty interesting history, not boring. And we could add something to this history of the plane by flying it around the world, right? And if we would purchase this one, it's currently on Gibraltar, right? So we would start our world tour in Gibraltar. Okay. So here you can also see how many hours have passed from the 100-hour maintenance check, right? So this is also important when it comes to the costs and this like economy plugin. Let's just check the other one. So this seems to be a German one. Yeah, exactly. And let's see what the story of it is. Australia, also pretty interesting. And yeah, Australia, Nord Cap here, also nice. So not many hours since the check, so won't be costly to check it again. Yeah, it's just like a kind of boring location, I guess. So where is it? Oh no, it's Kiruna, Sweden. So also pretty fascinating. It's a difficult choice. And let's check this one from the player if we would like to pay more, right? We can also see that it needs repair, so there will be some additional spendings from our side to make it functional, but most of the time it's just a couple of thousands. So still, let's check what the history of this one is. Yeah, so just flown in Europe. Okay. So I think I won't be paying more. So one of those. So this one was in Australia and this one was on Spitsbergen. So both of them are pretty interesting. This one would have starting in Gibraltar and this one in Kiruna in Sweden. Let me just look at how old they are. I think let's take the one in Sweden just because I want to have some icing. Because one of the reasons that I ruled out, as I said, like that I ruled out the Aerostar is because it was not ice proof, right? So let's start with something that will give us icing. And actually, in the last day, I was flying all of the twins that I had just to like find the best one, and I had icing in pretty much all of the flights. So no matter if I was flying in the US, Iceland, obviously, right, but also in Europe, on every one of those flights there was icing. So the Aerostar would simply not do it. That saying, I could plan like a flight going south, but when I was doing this flight with the Cessna 310, it was during the summer, and still when we have reached Alaska, I had like hard icing every single flight. So even summer doesn't save us, sadly. So I just hope maybe if there was a real Aerostar that had those like de-icing components, that they would maybe add it someday. I have seen discussions on the Aerostar forums. So maybe it will be possible to fly the Aerostar around the world in future. But for now, sadly, not. Okay. So let's just do the purchase. I decided for this one, this one in current location in Kiruna, right? Okay, so let's just purchase it. Oh, so much money lost, and it's a lot of work to get it back. So if you're new to FS economy, you don't need to buy your plane. You can just rent planes from other players and like from the NPC economy. And there are also on Discord player companies that will be leasing out planes to you. Okay, so then you are pretty much the owner. You just have to pay the monthly fees. A lot of fun ways to get flying. Okay. So now we have the Beechcraft Baron. Okay. Let me just see. Here are the monthly fees that we will have to pay for it, but we will find some money. And about this, we will also talk in the rules once we are back in the cockpit. Okay. So the only thing that I want to do is disabling renting out, because then other people will be able to rent it out, right? And give us some money, but they will fly it to different locations that we don't want to. Okay. Now it's fully ours and it's private. Okay. And I hope you have enjoyed this small sneak peek into like the workings of FS economy. Once again, I think it's like a great tool for the world tour and also like for flying every day pretty much. Okay, let's go back to the cockpit then. Bye. Okay, so I hope you had fun with this FS economy episode. And now let's get back to the current flight. So as you know, the plane that we have bought was in Kiruna. So this is why we have like selected the city. But now I had to decide on a flight, right? And let me just show you. This is FS economy. This is Kiruna, where our plane is at, and I had to choose some jobs because, as I said, like in this short part, I do prefer to work along the way just to have some money for fuel and for maintenance, okay? And there were some passengers that wanted to go from Kiruna to Rovaniemi, right? So this is why I have packed them up, and now here I have 3 + 2, 5 passengers, so the max that I can like pack into the Baron that want to take this route. In the beginning, I was not sure where I want to fly to because I'm not using straight lines, but kind of trying to cover interesting points, right? So this is Kiruna, where we are starting. And in the beginning, I had the idea to go here along the Norway coast because of these nice mountains, right? But despite this area being like great in reality, like astonishing views, in the sim, it's kind of lower quality. It starts like in the south where it gets better. So with this nice paying job, I decided to go to Rovaniemi, especially since Rovaniemi is also like an airport that is custom, right? And is provided by the sim, is nice looking. So I guess we will go to Rovaniemi here, and then maybe we will go south and then back to Norway. But we will see. For now, the destination is Rovaniemi. It might be pretty challenging because in the forecast there is like a lot of clouds. Now we have CAF OK, so this should be fine. I'm kind of concerned about navigation because we will talk about all of the rules of like my world tools later once we are in the air, but one of them is that I prefer to use radio navigation. But from what I remember from the last tour, when it comes to the northern and like Baltic countries, they really like to have those VORs decommissioned. So despite them being visible like on the official map, they might be only, for example, providing DME range services and not really like guidance, right? So let's just hope that this really works, because this will be the most important part, also the starting one. And here we will have an ILS. Sadly, there is no navigation, radio navigation-based approach, really. So I had to mix it up, right? I had to create my own just by adding this one waypoint here that should bring us on the ILS path. There is a VOR here that could be kind of used, but it's very off-center, so it might be more difficult. And with this was a lot of talking. So let's go to the plane. Let me just take this view. Here you can see the name, the same registration that we have on FS Economy. And let's start preparing the plane. And I do hope this is all here. Yeah. The rest will be done by the ground crew, right? Okay. Let's go inside. It's really cold, so let's just close this one. Here you can see freezing cold. Okay. And this is also something that I like about FS Economy, that you can like end up in very random places that you haven't planned for, which is also fun. Okay, so we are already fueled up, so let's get rid of the engine heater. We still want engine power for the startup, right? Let's take the battery, the beacon. Let's open the cowl flaps so we have some like air movement, right, for the startup. Okay, we have the altimeters set up already. And let's just start. So let's prime the engine. Let's observe here. Yeah, it's so slow. 2, 3, 4. Okay. And let's see if we can even start with this weather. Okay, and let's hope we won't damage the engine on our first try. Nice. So warming up the engine really works. Okay. Now the second engine. Here priming. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Nice. Okay. Now let's get the alternators. Let's lean the mixture. Okay, make sure it's stable in this temperature. That's nice. And now we can get rid of the GPU card, right? Okay. Okay, so avionics master, for sure the heater, right? So we'll be doing heater on max. So everybody will like freeze to death here. Okay. So for the heater to work, this needs to be at least in the middle, and it's like forward, which is the maximum setting. This is nice. Okay, all breakers are in. This is also nice. Let's do the nav lights. Let's prepare the taxi lights. We can close the cowl flaps for the engines to warm up quicker. We are still seeing they are in the red. Okay. This one can go to standby. This is something that I don't like, that it always starts with altitude already. Like there's less clicking and less fun. Okay, let's run the test. I actually like disabled all of them, so they should start off, right? And so sadly, it doesn't seem to be saved here. Okay, we have some time before it warms up. I mean, no wonder. Oh, this is fast. Nice. And so we can just tune in our VOR. 115.2. Okay. And we can also tune in the second one along the way. 115.35. Okay, and here. Okay. Let me just see. So the ice stays for now. This stays for now. This is fine. Okay, and it's getting nicer and nicer inside, and this is also fine. We are almost in the yellow. So we are pretty much ready to taxi. Just let's not overtax the engines, but it should be fine. Let me just take a quick look into my notes if there is anything else that I wanted to discuss. I guess we can discuss RNAV using the time that it needs to warm up. Okay, so we do have this great RNAV device that I haven't had on my prior world tours that were using radio navigation, but I did use it in other Black Square planes in the past, and pretty much what it does is creating a virtual VOR. So let me just show you. So as you can see, this is our destination airport, and there is no VOR to guide us. So we could create a virtual VOR in this place, okay? And how to do it? SkyVector is actually great at this one. So here you have all of the closest nav aids, the radio navigation nav aids, and the exact data in the exact format that you need to put into RNAV for it to create the virtual VOR there. Okay, so we will be using this during the flight, just for orientation purposes, to have an additional source. Okay, we can just make it slower because we for sure forget and will like boil here inside. And we can start taxiing. Yeah, so cold. Yeah, it's good that we have taken one with like anti-icing. Okay. Yeah, I have added like some sensitivity adjustments to my toe brakes, and it's really nice now. Let's drive to the runway, and then we can do a nice warm-up. And like an anti-icing check. So normally I'm not doing many checks, but that's as said during the FS economy video. Lately I had like hard icing every flight I have done. You can just open it up for some sounds, despite it being super cold outside, just for a second. Because in the sounds in this one are really great. I mean, those are Boris sounds, right? So you can expect a high quality. Okay. Parking brake. Let's take a look at the temperatures. We are in the green, so this is fine. Now we can open the cowl flaps. And 1700 RPM. Okay, nice. We can hear the turbo. For a moment I was thinking we are moving. Okay, let's just exercise the propellers. Let's get this oil flowing in this cold. Okay, nice. And now let's try the magnetos. Okay, only 50. A nice small drop. Yeah, here also only 50. Second one. Okay, just so you know, we are looking at this one. Okay, also only 50. This is fine. So let's take a look at the anti-icing stuff. And we are looking at the load here, if it moves, right? And we can see that it moves. Yeah, there's a very small one, but it moved. This also works. Here we have windshield. There should be like an annunciator here. This works. Propeller heat here works, right? And we can also take a look at surface de-ice, and it works. Okay, nice. This windshield heat can stay for now. So what else do we need? So let's prepare the landing lights, because we will be entering the runway. This is nice and hot here, and those on low for the takeoff. Okay, so one thing that is missing is, I think, the curse from the VOR. So this is here 107. Okay. So this is 100, 105, 107. Okay. And let's also move the heading back. And this is something I can never understand, but it's a thing in many planes, that like the curse arrow is like great to turn, but the heading back is like super slow. And obviously if you have this new method with like this blue highlight, it will be faster, right? I prefer to not have this blue highlight. Okay, so pumps, this is on, heating goes to off, and when heating goes to off, I don't want like cold air entering the plane, just so it stays hotter for longer, right? This goes to altitude reporting, the weather radar can go off, on. Okay, we can prepare, it's pretty flat where we are at, okay? So I guess we can start with this one. Okay, one last check of the temperatures. Seems fine, seems fine, seems fine, seems fine. Okay, so it seems like we are ready for our first flight. Oof. Just enter the runway. I will reduce the volume a little bit because it might be too loud for you guys. And let's start. Yeah, the sounds are really great. I was also comparing like the sounds of different versions of this plane to decide to which sound I like the most, like engine sound. And in the end, in the beginning I was thinking that maybe the naturally aspirated one, the non-turbo one, has the nicer sound, like deeper growling. But in the end, I didn't see a difference, I guess, or it was like too hard to compare. But I also like this one. Yeah, let's just reduce the speed. Yeah, this one I'm often overspeeding on taxiways because it has so much power and you don't really feel it that much because it's like a very small plane, so you are not assuming it could accelerate so fast on the ground, I guess. Is this like a turning wheel? Yeah, I guess. Okay. And so when it comes to Kiruna, other than being like the that's a very okay, so that's a pretty long circle. We don't need it to be that long. And when it comes to Kiruna, it's like a mining town, a pretty big like ore mining town with a lot of history and interesting facts around it. So maybe I will discuss. So this is something that I'm not a fan of because I think it drops too fast, right? I like on purpose closed the vent, but still it was very fast, like from 17 or 18. So I think this is one thing that might be improved. I guess we can get the panel lights here. Okay, this is on max, this is on max. So normal start is without flaps, so we don't need them. Let me make sure we have everything here. Okay, let me make sure FS Economy is tracking our flight. It is, just to show you, it's like a very small application where you just have to click start pretty much. But you can also like forget it, right? So then it's very set. Okay. And with this, we can start. So turbocharged, so we are going full power. There is a waste gate. '81 is the rotation. Tap the brakes, gear up. We can turn on the autopilot. Adding multiple. Okay, and it's capturing 4000 because we are pretty close, so it's already in capture mode. Okay. Let me reduce the volume. So this was the takeoff experience, okay? Let's close the cowl flaps, get rid of the landing lights. Now we can turn on the heater again, okay? Because yeah, I think it's too fast. Okay, and pumps off. Nothing popped. Okay, nice. So let's go down with the power. So standard setting is, I think, 33. So let's go here. And now let's also reduce the propeller. I think around 23 is fine. Yes, it can be a very loud plane, and this is also where we have this nice headphone simulation here. Okay. I already missed the radio, so let's get back on it. Yeah, let's just warm up. So in general, when it comes to Sweden, it's pretty flat, other than the western part with the border with like Norway. So I think 4000 should be optimal to see a lot of detail on the ground here. Is it warming up? Not really. Let me just check if we have everything. So it is on max, pilot air is on, heater is on and the blower from the heater is set to low, so this should be fine. But we are still not warming up. It's straight. Oh, yeah, because I did close this one. And I was even explaining it that it needs to be at least on the half setting, right, to work. Now it's working. Okay, so we can reduce the air here. Let me check if it's not too early for the lights. We can see the green mint tint, but I think it's just too early. Okay, and we can switch to nav so it will nicely follow this radio. And once the next VOR goes live, we will see it here because it's set to VOR2. Okay, and this also points to the VOR that we have left. Okay, guys, so let me talk maybe, let me first make sure everything is fine. It's playing with failures. Okay, so those are closed. Monic lights are off. This is off. Okay, this is fine. It's so cold. Okay, let me just do a wing view. Yeah, it's okay. So let me talk first, before I go over to the rules for the whole world tour, why I have chosen the turbocharged one and not the normal one and not the pressurized one, right? So I was flying them all in the last days, just to decide on one of those. So when it comes to the standard one, the naturally aspirated one, right? I would choose it because it's more challenging, especially like if you are flying in the mountains, you have to make sure that you are leaning for maximum power while flying and while cruising, while climbing, which I do remember was a lot of fun and very challenging when I have done it in the Cessna 310 in Chile, right? And the Ant Mountains in the Andes. So this would be a reason to choose it, right? Also, well, this is pretty much the only plus point that I have on my list. So minus points were that the wing view was kind of uglier because then you have this inlet here and it's not really looking like that great for me. Also, this naturally aspirated one has no turbo, so there are less parts that can fail, and I do like the possibility of failure. Like the problem would be also that despite it being a lot of fun to use it, the naturally aspirated one, there were areas in the world where it was very dangerous to fly. Like, for example, in the higher parts of those like Ant Mountains and also in the mountains of Asia, I was pretty much avoiding it after my first experiences. Because when flying the Cessna, I pretty much almost burned out my engines there because I was like all of the time on the border of like acceptable performance and had to like, pressure the engines a lot, right? Okay, but why have I not chosen the pressurized one? I haven't chosen the pressurized one because I feel I would be then feeling that I should be cruising like at higher altitudes, right? And because here in the turbocharged one, pretty much to cruise about like 10,000, 12,000, I have to turn on the oxygen, right? Then monitor the oxygen amount. And also like the passengers would have to use those cannulas, right? The things you put in your nose. It's not convenient, right? So I kind of figured out here I can stay kind of low and it's still kind of realistic because of all of those reasons. And at the same time, I do have a little bit of maintenance because this plane has almost no maintenance, but at least topping off on the air, right? On the oxygen will be something that I will need to remember. So there is no oil change, nothing. So at least I will need to monitor this one and like top it off at some airports. I think we have lost the signal, so let's go back on the radial here. But something that I liked about the pressurized one, and also the reason why I was considering it, is that it's just more parts, more things to click during all of the checklists, more like emergency backup systems here everywhere, right? So when you're doing those long routes, the more there is to do, the more fun it is, because there is not much left, right? And also, like, if you like flying with failures, like I do on those long flights, then there's just more to monitor. Okay, so now it's too hot. Blop, blop, blop. Yeah, and this is why I ended up with the turbocharged but not pressurized one. Okay, so it has enough power to go into all of those global mountain areas that I was avoiding the last time. But at the same time, it's kind of a low altitude flyer still, because like going higher is connected to inconvenience those cannulas and stuff. So I can just like pretend with my head cannon that I can stay lower, and it makes any sense. And I like to stay lower because those world tours are also for sightseeing and kind of wandering at all of those beautiful views that we have here, right? Okay, so with this out of the way, let me just see how far away we are from our VOR. That is actually, yeah, I'm just wondering why it's losing the signal to the VOR. Yeah, talking too much. But I'm not sure if this is like not a bug now in MSFS, because when I was checking the Cessna 310 last week, it was also dropping nav all of the time. So I'm not sure. Normally it doesn't do it. I'm doing like lots and lots of flights with radio navigation, so not sure. But the thing I'm concerned about is that we are already 30 miles out, and we are still not picking up the second VOR. So there is the slight possibility that it doesn't exist, which will make the whole flight a lot, well, more difficult. Let me just make sure we have the right frequency. So this part is supposed to be only 70 miles, and this one is 11535. 11535. Yeah, and it's not here. Maybe it's a DME only. Yeah, it's a DME only. This is not good. Yeah, as I said, this is like a problem with SkyVector and those northern countries. Okay, but for now, let's just fly. Maybe we will have to go to a higher altitude to be able to have a strong signal of this one for longer. So this is something that I really like about Black Square planes, is that you have this advanced radio navigation signal simulation, right? Okay, so it's nice and warm, even a little bit too warm for me. We don't have any icing, which is nice, because as I said, like in the forecast and in the later hours, there was supposed to be a lot of clouds, and then we would get icing for sure, pretty much in those circumstances. Okay, guys, so let's talk about the, I just need to make sure. Okay, let's talk about the rules that I'm normally like setting up for my world tours, right? To make them more fun, more challenging, more immersive. So the first one is that there's only like one life. So if I crash, then it's the end, and I have to start a new world tour, right? This doesn't include, oh, we can do prop sync. You can see this one turning. This doesn't include crashes because of bugs or like a very strange behavior of the sim. And then I would just like refly this one part. Okay? I'm always using real weather, but when it comes to the time, I'm sometimes allowing myself to turn the time back because of convenience sake, or sometimes it's like in a place in the world where I'm flying during the night all of the time, right? So then I, for example, change it just to have some like daylight and see how the country looks like. So I'm only flying on FS economy because otherwise it would like not save it like in the profile of the plane. Radio navigation only is what I have already explained. There's just more to do, and it's more challenging, and like I have to do something every like 30 minutes, I guess. It depends on the route, obviously. Okay, let's stop it here because I can see we are losing the signal. So let's go up more. Okay, here. Okay, and let's climb. And let's continue with the list, okay? So radio navigation only to have something to do, to make it more challenging, to work more with the maps. Next thing is when it comes to those EFB failures, I'm only looking into those, like the failure list in the MFBs that tells you if something has failed or not. I'm only checking those if I'm at a big airport and are role-playing that I'm doing an inspection of the plane. Okay, so not every flight, just some flights where I would be doing the inspection. Obviously, if I notice myself that something is wrong, then land at like an airport that isn't like just a dirt strip, right? Then I will also do the inspection, but normally not every flight. Okay, so only sometimes every 10 flights, I guess, or when something seems very suspicious. When it comes to very bad weather, so like everything red on the radar, I'm not flying on this day, okay? I'm doing risky stuff, but not stuff that I would totally not do in real life. So this is also the reason why with the Aerostar, I was pretty much grounded for those weeks, because every time I wanted to fly, there was a storm and like crazy gusting wind. And the last thing is that I'm trying to use FS economy when it's viable, when there are jobs kind of in the direction that I want to fly to. Okay, so then I'm taking the job with me. This gives me some more payload, which is also fine. Like it's fun to feel it. Sometimes the plane is empty, sometimes you have it full of passengers, right? And also gives me the money for those FS economy spendings. And those are pretty much the rules. And like it was fun each time I have done it, so I will be staying with them. When it comes to the radio navigation one, I would probably drop it if I would decide to fly with the coenzyme, with the diamond, because it would be just silly, right, to fly radio navigation only when we have those like modern G1000s. So, but as we have stayed with this one, and this also has this great RNAV unit, I'm still dropping the nav signal. So I decide that I will stay with radio navigation. Okay, and let's talk about like state-saving features. Let's make it warmer. State-saving features in general. So pretty much all of the planes that I have used for those flights had very advanced wear and state-saving capabilities. And this is actually the plane that has the least of them. It's like the most basic plane. Even I know how it sounds. I know the Black Squirrel planes have like lots and lots of amazing system depth, but when it comes to wear and tear, well, to wear, because tear is fine. When it comes to wear, to maintenance features, ownership features, they are very, very basic. And I'm flying those world tours for many years, and I started in X-Plane, and the planes that I was using in X-Plane were like super advanced when it comes to maintenance and ownership. So it's also interesting to observe, right, that in some ways the advancements in the simulation go like a long, long way. And in others, they are pretty much holding still. And many planes don't have great stuff that was already implemented in other planes. That was a lot of talking. I'm just monitoring it here. So either way, I hope it will be fun. As I said, I have to at least keep the air amount, right? Obviously, there is wear in this plane. So if tear. So if I mismanage it, it will damage the engine parts, right? But for example, it will not influence the gear parts, so hard landings, which is also something that I really liked. So I was trying to avoid too excessive braking, because after like 20 of those landings, my landing gear would be like in bad shape. Yeah, I can see that this will be really challenging, because as I have feared, this central VOR is only like a DME VOR now, so it will not give us the deviation indicator here. Let me see if there's any alternate one that I could use. Yeah, but I don't want to... Yeah, this one. This is also like a long way from here. Let me just see if we can maybe get the signal. 112.8. Yeah. 112.8. Okay, so we have DME and we do have the deviation indicator. So this might be a good idea. We can change our course to have at least this navigation guidance. Okay, so let me just get rid of... This one is PJL, right? Okay, so let's get rid of PJL. And let's use this one. Okay. And 112.8. Okay, and the curse, this one is 086. Okay. And once again, we are using radio navigation. Something is working. I mean, something is happening, right? So let me just get it here. Okay. 112.8. Oh, no, there is no guidance, or no guidance yet, I guess. So both of those might be only DMEs. Yeah, because there is no CDI guidance, right? No deviation guidance here. Yeah, this is why I don't like radio navigation in northern countries. Yeah, well, let me think about this one. Okay, so this is ours. And for now, let's just follow it. Okay, and let's just climb even more. Okay. Are we going into the clouds? Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm not really a fan of what is happening here. But this is pretty much what you can expect. Okay, so 086, is it? Because now I'm not sure anymore. No, we need to remove SOD. So the one that we have added. Okay, so the straight course will be 103. Okay, so this is 100, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you can go back to this one. Okay, and this should work now. I mean, for a time. Yeah, so I think we could, because it's very flat here and we will be pretty high up, so I guess we will be receiving it, well, at the maximum for 100 miles, I guess. Maybe 110 from the one behind us. Well, at least for now, we don't have many clouds, like close to the ground. Okay. Okay. It's pretty aggressive at catching those radials. And we are in Europe, so we are already above the transition altitude, so we can also change it here. Okay, we are at 10,000, so the signal should be strong. Most of those longer range ones have the strongest signal around 10 to 13,000 feet, I guess. So this is also a good tip. Okay, and we can try to put in the destination airport to, to this one. Okay, so once again. Okay, let's get the airport, let's get here the name of the airport, and this will be this one. So 112.8, let's hope this one works, right? Because if it also doesn't work, we won't be getting this guidance. And you might be thinking that I might be replacing the missing VOR with this virtual VOR, but this doesn't really work because you need a strong signal. And if there was no VOR at this area, there was no other VOR that could generate the strong signal for the missing VOR. So it's not so easy, but it's like more fun, right? 112.8. Okay, data. Here, radial 184. So once again, this is the relative position of the airport to this navigation source, right? 184, 184, 54 point. So let's make it 55. Okay. When it comes to the last part on how to use it, I don't remember. I just remember how it works and that it was working in the prior black square planes. Okay, I think now we can take in some views. Okay, so we are turning on the radial, but I'm not sure how long we will have the signal here. Yeah. Okay. So once we lose this signal, I will try to change it to RNAV, okay, as the HSI source, and we'll see if we cannot get this virtual one that we have created in the place of the airport, right? So another question that people might have, or I have seen it like multiple times on Reddit, is what to do during those long flights. So I'm mostly, well, to a large part there for sightseeing and for learning all of those countries. So what I'm doing is simply using Wikipedia. So here I have my destination. Here I have the starting airport, and I know about this ore mine, right, in Kiruna. Pretty much the reason why this town was created. And also interesting fact, a big part of the town was moved to another location because they have mined there for 100 years, and the whole town was undermined and it was not safe anymore. So those are interesting facts that I can then use later. Pretend I'm smart. And sometimes I cannot really picture the place, so then I'm also watching video blogs of those places, about those places. like traveler blocks, and this is also pretty interesting. Other than this, some of them I'm flying like almost AFK, and this is also why I wanted this de-icing, right? Because I need to be able to leave the plane like for 5-10 minutes unattended, and icing can come really fast, right? Obviously, there's also always like a risk of a serious failure that would also be a problem, but I cannot rule out everything, right? But some things I can. In my prior world tours, I have lost one engine 2 times. This is why I'm always like using twin props, right, to have one left. But every time I was pretty much like more or less paying attention to what is happening, and I was able to save the plane. Besides, the planes were pretty stable, like they had enough power to pretty much be able to hold altitude with just one engine. So it wasn't that much of a problem, but it was super exciting. And also landing the plane then with those additional yaw forces is always lots of fun. Okay, so let me just change to heading for a second, because I will try to activate this one and we'll see what happens. Okay, so there is... oh, okay, it won't work, sadly. So once again, why is it not working? Because the VR that is providing the signal, so this one, is also not working in CDI mode, right? It's only working as a DME VOR. So it cannot provide the exact location for this like triangulation or whatever for this one, sadly. You can try this one if you are desperate, 109.6. Let's see if we'll get a signal on VOR2. No, nothing here. Is there a DME? Yeah, the DME works. So all of them are not working in CDI mode. They are only DMEs. So one way to avoid what has happened today is to use Little Navmap, because Little Navmap is showing you the sources with the exact capabilities that they have in the sim. So if it's DME only in the sim, then it will be also DME only on the map, and then you can prepare. I was doing it in the past, but like only for the north of Europe, pretty much, because then later I stopped, because for the other like parts of the world, in 99% of the cases, the VR were just working fine. So I didn't need it, really. Okay, so let us use the ILS of the destination airport. Okay, let me just see. So this is the ILS. At least when we will be like inside of 22 miles of it, we will pick it up, right? So 111.7. Okay, obviously we don't pick it up yet, but if we will be in the vicinity of the airport, we will be able to pick it up. Okay, and we have lost the signal that was behind, that was at the airport that we have started, right? So now we have to pretty much to do death reckoning. We can use the VR behind us. Let me just see how far away we are. So just to stress it, normally there are not so many problems with radio navigation. When flying outside of North Europe, I'm pretty much not getting any problems at all, right? Sometimes one might be missing, but the other one is close by. Like we wanted to use those alternate ones here. So the first alternate one would be working pretty much most of the time, but sadly not in North Europe anymore. Okay, so 11535. Okay, and here we should have DME. Okay, and this should increase. Okay. So we kind of can estimate where we are, because we are 36. Let me just see. Okay, so we need 79 here, okay? And we are at 36, so this will be probably somewhere here. Yeah, this is 29, so we are somewhere here, okay? So once we are, let me just remove this one. Okay, once we are 51 miles from this one, where we are receiving DME, we should be able to pick up the ILS. If we don't do it, then we will know we have messed up. Okay. But this also means that we are kind of 30-40 miles away from starting the approach, so we can slowly start planning for going down. So let me just grab the charts. Oops. So they want us to start the descent, I mean the approach at 2,500. So let's just use it here. Okay. We can just reduce the speed a little bit. There was so much going on that we didn't even come to like cleaning the mixture. Okay, is it hot? It's hot-ish. So there is shock cooling simulated, but there's also too much clicking. Just a second. So as far as I understand, this is showing you how fast you're cooling the cylinders, and it shouldn't go over 6 or 60, which is because I have seen the dev explaining it, that he said that it shouldn't go over 60, but I have never seen such high values here, so I'm assuming this might be tens, right? And pretty much we need to pick up ILS here in 20-30 miles. Otherwise, this means that we have done something really incorrectly, right? I mean, it's nice that we at least have some visibility, because as I said, the forecast was really, really bad, like zero visibility at all. Yeah, and once again, normally those flights are not so exciting. Normally you are more like looking out the window and learning about the countries that you are visiting, if you don't get a failure. Yeah, so we started in Sweden, and actually Rovaniemi is in Finland. I'm not sure if Rovaniemi is not this airport with where all of those like Santa Claus tours start, right? I've also seen many people doing flights from there like during the Christmas time. And it's also like a custom airport, so this is nice. Yeah, I think I could get used to it. Let me just do an inside view. I really like this one. This is like a very calming interior palette here. You can also open this one. Eat something quickly. Yeah, and when it comes to the terrain outside, this is also something that you need to be prepared for when doing like those very long tours. Like 40% of everything that will be below you will not be very exciting. It's much better in 2024 than it was in 2020. Because in 2024, at least the vegetation is different, like in exotic places. But in 2020, there were like, for example, the jungle was looking like every other like forest in Europe, but now it looks different. So this is great. And it also helps to kind of plan ahead on the tour that you're planning. As I said, everything that has some mountains, mountains at sea and stuff looks much better, right, than stuff without mountains. So don't just go like the quickest way with a like straight line, because there's a very big chance that those random views will not be very exciting. I actually had a web page saved up. Let me see if I still have it. With special places on the map. Yeah, so this is this one. I will link it up. I think it's pretty old, and it does list all of those sightseeing places, which might be great like for planning your tour. Okay, so this might be really helpful. Let's take a look here. Yeah, there's only Kiruna in this whole area, right? Okay. Our airport. Okay, there's some haze here. We can see the first icing. We can use defrost to not waste the electricity, because defrost works, but not in very heavy icing. If it's just like weak icing, you can just use the heater for it, right? Okay, everything is in the green, which is always nice. Let me just take a look at the engines. They are also fine. Yes, it seems like warm-up really works, right? And starting with the battery when it's very cold outside. It's nice, nice. A very nice engine simulation. And this is also something that I started missing in the Cessna 310, because it does have much better, as I said, like ownership and wear features. But sadly, the engine simulation is a little bit dated. The developer said that they are planning to do a much improved 2024 version, and they will start work in the beginning of this year, this new year, right? So it might take lots of time, which is good and bad, because if it takes a lot of time, there is a chance that it will not be just like a conversion that will not really improve the plane much, right? So actually, if I have the choice of getting it fast and it being just like a native 2024 aircraft with some walk around, or having like a big redesign, really fixing and improving all of it, then I prefer to wait. Okay, so let us see here if this is for sure this ILS here. So 11 here, Rovaniemi 111.7. Okay, Rovaniemi 111.7. Let me just see, 111.7. Okay, so it should be here. Oh, and we have the ILS. Okay, so I know how to fly. This is always nice. Okay, and we have lost this ILS that we had before. Okay, 111.7. Okay, and the approach course is 204. Okay, so this is 20, this is 204. Okay, nice. Landing lights on, boost pumps on. Okay, the rest can stay up. And is it like, ooh, let me just close this one and get this one. So this is kind of how we expect to come in. Okay. So just a second, 25 miles. Okay, and with this one we can also see if we are not already too far, right? Okay, I need to add some power, as I can see we're getting pretty slow. Would be a real shame to like stall here and end the first flight this way. Yeah, but I have to say it's for sure like the most exciting of the first flights. First with needing to warm up and checking all of those like warming up features, and then with so many Was it with so many VRs not working and us having to improvise? Very nice. Is it? It's like teasing me. This is what happens if you don't have like a nice straight in waypoint, right, to join here. If we would have the VR, we would be joining at a much nicer angle than this one. Okay, no popped breakers. It's always nice. You're getting it and losing it. Okay. But this is still fine. So what's the distance where we should join it? At 12 miles, if this was the correct course, and we probably went off course. So I would say like plus minus 5 nautical miles in this case. Okay, let me just tune in the next step, 240. Nice. And we can reduce the heating a little bit, and reduce the defrost a little bit. No reason to wear down all of those components. We need them. We need to be able to use them for a long time from now. There is one interesting like simulated fact that if you turn on no if you turn on windshield heat, this one will go crazy. Let me just show you. Cool. Yeah, I love Sweden and Finland, but like in the sim and like also in the reality, it's really flat, right? So it's not as exciting as the other northern countries. I mean, at least for sightseeing. But it is exciting because of the temperatures. No? Yes, no? No. Okay. Yeah, this is this black square simulation. Maybe we can see it already. Maybe this one? No, I don't think so. Well, let's just proceed. And we can also see by how fast this is changing. If it's getting slower and slower, then we are pretty much like flying at the same distance to the airport, right? So like this. I think we can correct a little bit. Okay, we can get rid of the prop sync for the approach. Those are on. Okay. Yep. And this is something that's always difficult in the sim, like spotting the airport, because it's not really rendered at those like normal distances where you would expect it to be visible. I'm not sure if this is working for ILS's RMI here. Because it might be like a coincidence that it's to the right, right? But I'm not sure. Okay, let's make sure we have everything set up correctly. So it's supposed to be 204, because it's easy to make a mistake. 180, 90, 200, 204. Okay. Obviously, if this would be like a realistic situation, we would just like call the airport, right? This one is ITC controlled and we would be vectored without any problems. But like this way, it's more challenging, I guess. We have to vector ourselves using all of the map data available to us. And it's a shame that no of those like radio navigation aids worked, because then I could show you this one. Can we see it? Should be somewhere there. No. Maybe if I would have like LOD at max level, then it would be possible. Okay, now it's not teasing house. Now it should be really there. Yeah, we have 18 miles, so we should be able to catch it without any problems. First, let's go back on the localizer. Is it this one? This might be an airport. I guess I should have like done higher LOD levels for this flight. Okay, and now let the autopilot catch it. Okay, nice. So we have the pumps, we have landing lights on, we can go max. And as we are pretty much on the localizer, hard to say because it's still oscillating, but I would say we are close to it. Let me see when we are supposed to descend. So 1.8, this is 3.5 at around, oh here it is, 5.6 TME. Okay. To the next level. Yeah, so we still have like 10 miles to go, so I guess I will do a short cut here and we will see each other once we will be closer to the airport. Okay, so we have captured the glide slope, right? Let's just lose some speed. Okay. There's notch of flaps. Here. And I think it's 1 to 2 here, 1 to 2 for the second notch of flaps. Okay. And I think you can keep the cowl flaps closed because it's rather cold. Okay, 3 greens. Let's not get too slow. Okay, last checks here. It's nice that they are doing those like Santa Claus tours here, because otherwise there would be probably no ILS and with no other VORs it might be difficult. Is it getting cold? We can turn off the heater. I mean, that doesn't explain why it's cold, right? I can see it here. Yeah, I always have a problem with those like gigantic airliner runways when I'm just having a GA plane, because it's hard to feel, right, how low you are, because there's so much like distance to the sides. Okay, flaps are up. Guess I want to go here. Okay. Let's hope I won't miss the next one. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Let's keep the engines. I like having engines, right? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about the brakes in this one, or maybe it's the changed curves, right? And the sensitivity curves, because I find it really hard to decelerate. So this is something that I will have to train. Okay, stand by. No, this was supposed to be custom. Okay. It's strange, because I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe I didn't see it correctly on the map. Okay, because there's a map with stars for airports that you have custom. Either way, let's clean up. And you can see FS Economy has recognized that we have landed, right? And it has just saved the flight on its own. So there is nothing that you have like to click in addition to that. Okay, so let's go back with the heater, at least for the last minutes. So it will be nice and warm, because it's once again very, very cold. Yeah, in the beginning I was thinking just this RAM air, right? Because you need it for the heater, but if you keep it on, this means that like the cold air when you're flying is like entering the plane, right? There's also this one that should regulate it, but I'm not sure which way it goes. I think it was closed. So I need to check out why I'm losing this temperature so fast after like turning off the heater just for a couple of minutes. Okay, we can do because I'm talking too much once again, so I may have missed something, so make sure that I didn't. Cow flaps open. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Flaps up. Lights as required. Okay, landing lights, strobe lights go off. Ice protection all off is off. Air conditioning as desired. We have heating. Okay, so let's proceed. So strange. Maybe I wanted to buy Rovaniemi, and I didn't in the end. Sorry guys, like for people that are waiting for Rovaniemi, I might buy it when there will be the next sale and show it to you. What? What is this? Yeah, I want to go here. Okay, so let's close like this. I hope there will be like a way to the right. We will see. And this is also something that you can expect when doing your world tour. A lot of ugly vanilla airports, right? You can minimize it by maybe planning your tour using those stars on the map. Why is it like it would be a runway? So strange. Okay. Well, let's go here, and we'll be parking somewhere. Okay. Let me just... Yeah, let me just go here then. And we can also disable this one. Yeah, something that I'm missing that is there in the Comanche is the tow bar that you can like manually use and just drag your plane to where you want it to be. Okay, let's just use this one. Nice. And now we can do, oops, not this one, the shutdown checklist. Okay, parking brake is set, avionics off, although I prefer to do it manually, always a little bit more immersive. That saying, I would wish that it would save what I'm doing here, right? They would also start off if I put them off. Longest scrolling ever. Okay. No, this should be disengaged. Okay. So avionics off. Sub panel switches off. So we don't need the navigation lights, no taxi light, no panel light. Okay. We can close all of those. We don't need the heater anymore and the heater blower. Okay. Okay, propellers high RPM, throttles closed, they are closed for longer. Let's just... Okay. Magnetos off. Alternators. Okay, and battery master off. Parking brake I won't release because I don't have chocks yet. Okay. And I can install... Oh, icing. I can install the lock. Let's just do a check of the breakers. Nice, nothing popped. Nothing popped here. Okay, let me just take a look at the landing. Okay, pretty sweet on this gigantic runway. And we can go outside into the cold. Okay, nice ticking sounds. I turned off the heating some time ago, so let's just do it now. But the engines are still hot and we can hear it. Okay, with the sticking. So let's not put the covers on yet. Okay guys, and this was the first leg. There was some surprising parts of it, but in the end we have made it, and slowly we will be moving to the south. I don't think I will be recording every one of those episodes. I think I will just do like a vlog post, I guess. So I will just do some recordings gathered from many of those legs and then do one episode, like a report from it. Because as I said, it might be interesting when flown alone, but not really for people to watch. Also because I'm like using Wikipedia along the way and like watching videos and stuff. Either way, this will not change how the channel works. I will fly normal like one-time flights and provide the same content that I have before. It's just that like every month maybe or 2 months there will be an episode with the report from the flight. And with this, I thank you very much for following, and we see each other in future videos. Thank you. Bye bye.